what we believe it should be, a safe place for everybody. Thank you.
I would note before we take questions, and we'll try and make sure we answer every one or as many as you need to ask, I would note to the reporters here in Minnesota, it was about 3 weeks ago I stood in front of you and as we passed 500 deaths by COVID-19 and said that on about the 29th of May we would pass 1,000. That will happen today. So in the midst of this pandemic, we are still working that. We believe, again, numbers are down. ICU bed capacity is stable, and we are doing everything we can. And as you heard from the folks speaking, the vast majority of people out there who were expressing their First Amendment rights and the rage over what happened to George Floyd were wearing masks, and we're trying their best to social distance and not touch things. I would, before I go to questions, note that the desire to get back to normal is so overwhelming for everyone. When so many Minnesotans would said, what else could happen? We've witnessed this, but I think it's an important time to pause about that is, the problem is for so many of us, thinking that normal is where we want to go. Normal was not working for many communities. Normal was not working for George Floyd pre-COVID-19. It's certainly not working now. And so I think as you heard the Attorney General talk about that work that we're trying to look at to use this as a point and not just rhetorically, but a point to make those changes. With that, Mary, we'll start. Well, I certainly don't think it's important to be on TV. I think what you expected me to do is to be there is we were in a support role as state law shows. And once it became apparent to me that the city of Minneapolis would not be able to complete that, I was directing the state to take that over. This is my responsibility. Well, I think obviously if you think I didn't, that's probably the case as a reporter. But I think in the moment of making sure as those decisions were being made and that we were staying in the lane that we were asked to support this, and as it deteriorated, it was at 12:05. There was a decision last night that we made is to come in front of you at that time because that was a transition point, because what you're seeing now is the state is the lead element now, starting at 12:05 last night in those first missions that were carried out. So I think for many of you who know, I try and make myself as available as possible. I think it was important for me to be getting the data and the feedback. I was watching where you were seeing, and to be quite candid, when the third precinct was abandoned, it seemed at that point in time that was a time to move. So. No, I stayed in the residence is where I work from. I have all the electronic tools, and we were on all night. And as I said, we were taking calls and adjusting, and I was able to track as the situation evolved on going down. There was a dangerous task that I tasked the State Patrol and the National Guard to go down and take that. Those of you who were watching that as I was, as the lawlessness was burning down the third precinct or whatever, that can't be allowed to happen. It took a little while to plan this to get going, but that's where I was at to make sure it was executed.
There were millions of Americans and Minnesotans certainly watching on their TV screens as this unfolded last night. There was almost a complete lack of visibility of local police, state police, National Guard. After much fanfare about how the National Guard was coming in, people watched buildings burn, public and private. How could there not have been a clear mission for the National